Hello everyone, and you're all very welcome to day 24 of our 40 Days with Jesus journey based on the book by Dave Smith. Yesterday our focus was on John 21 verses 1 to 4, entitled ironically, Jesus Helps Us in Our Present Struggles, based on the disciples' frustration of fishing and catching nothing. Jesus appeared on the shore, waiting and wanting to help them, and I firmly believe he does that now in our normal daily lives, and particularly in our current collective situation around COVID-19. We will all feel these frustrations in different ways, these anxieties, those unfulfilled needs of meeting people, socialising with friends, being a reassuring presence to others, and of course worshipping together. But in being that reassuring presence, particularly to the vulnerable, and displaying acts of kindness, we can still live out the gospel message, for it is in the uncertainty that Jesus meets us at our points of need, not to point out our shortfalls, but to greet us in faith, listen to our prayers, and where needed, weep with us. Many will view faith in God as believing without seeing, but Jesus knows and listens to the concerns of our hearts. For in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 21, verse 22, he says, "Whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." And in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, "Cast all your anxieties onto him, because he cares for you." The disciples listened to Jesus and cast their net on the right side of the boat, and received great reward, as we do if we listen to Jesus. Much of that listening, of course, will be based on prayer and prayer life, which has a value beyond worth. For prayer is those precious moments with God in matters of the heart. We all have so much that is on our hearts and minds now, but Jesus is always there, that reassuring presence so valued by his disciples through the ages. Today's passage is John 21 verses 5 to 6, a sequel to yesterday's title that Dave Smith calls Respond to the Helper. The disciples in 21:5 do not resent Jesus for his advice on casting their nets. They welcome and respect it. And maybe that speaks to you, that we should, as Dave Smith says, welcome his intervention, but albeit not passively. We need to do so with open minds, open eyes and open hearts. It's not really enough to stand and admire his presence on our shores. We must respond and follow him. It is walking the walk, not talking the talk. We really do need to get in the water with Jesus. Jesus' guidance in verse 6 brings the disciples a vast haul of fish. His guidance to us brings us our own great rewards, not of wealth, but in the fruits of his Spirit. For Jesus came not to lay down the law or to flaunt money. He came in glory as our servant king, with love, grace, and a message of humility. Jesus called to the disciples from some distance away in this verse, but often our need is to listen to his still small voice of calm in the chaos, or in the quiet, or in the silence. I've just been reading a very good book by Rowan Williams, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, this little book here called Writing in the Dust. And it's based on his experience of staying in a hotel nearby in New York when terrorists struck on 9/11. And he observed how we often try to fill a void of silence by needing to say or do something, which can often be a rush to be negative, a criticism, or a portioning of blame, as people often did in rushing to judgment around 9/11. Now you may wonder where I'm going with this, but Dr. Williams said we need to value silence, not to rush to fill the void. Take time to consider your response, and put on a hold our most immediate feelings, or at least make those feelings objects of reflection. Avoid speaking and doing for the sake of it. These are valuable thoughts in times now, where living in constant close proximity, even with loved ones, can cause frayed tempers and regretted words. That is where Jesus is. Yes, he is in the bustle of our normal daily lives, but that's not really where we are at the moment. He is there in our quiet times, in our reflective moments, our anxious concerns. He is in the void of our physical lockdown, and he is there to comfort and reassure us that all this will pass. In Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 17, Paul, as I do now, emphasises his longing to be with his church. "When we were torn away from you for a short time, in person but not in thought, we wanted to come to you to be with you." And I'm sure this, like me, will resonate with many of you currently. Listening to God, to Jesus, means walking with him. It will bring us fruits in abundance, or in the disciples' case, fish. Responding to our helper brings us hope, grace and love, and ultimately spiritual transformation. Many people are currently walking the walk in our village and responding as Jesus has asked us to, in love. Those who donate so generously to the food bank, those who collect the donations. I particularly think of Alexa, the lady who cycles around the village every Sunday morning collecting the gifts in a trailer attached to her bike. Those keeping our school open, those keeping the prayer diary going, those offering to clean the church, and those caring for our youth group. And there will be others. But if you can't do any of that, those of you who clap every Thursday for the NHS, for carers, for the emergency services, never underestimate what this has come to mean, and something I find especially poignant. So, much still goes on in our response to the Helper, our response of listening and following God, following Jesus. We brought our pain and troubles to the cross and left them there, and in his resurrected glory he is with us now. I hope and pray that we will all be reassured by that in these strange times. There is kindness, there is faith, there is hope, and there is love, and that his gospel is still being lived out in so many ways. So may that be our response to the Helper, based on his gospel, that we listen to him, pray with him, and follow him. Thank you for listening, everyone. Keep safe and well. Keep fit, keep exercising. I, of course, follow a rigorous regime of exercise, 50 press-ups a day, but only one eyebrow at a time. Keep smiling. Look after one another, pray for one another, because these are simple acts that mean so much to everyone. God bless everyone. Take care. Bye for now.